Hey guys, the Kamsh here. Today we'll be talking about Maly Lock, which is a pretty solid ladder deck. A lot of people have played in recent tournaments and done really well with. This is my version. Each list has a few different tech choices. Some people play Kazans. I personally don't like that, but I'll go into my choices later. But this is a really solid ladder deck right now, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the standard cards, my personal choices, and then we'll play some games. And the goal here, like obviously this isn't a super innovative list. A lot of people are playing this right now, but hopefully through the games I can walk you through a little bit how to play the deck because it is kind of a challenging deck to play. So let's start off with we have two Mortal Coil. So this deck, let's just talk about the main goal of the deck. It's both to have board control and to burst your opponent down, whether that be with just normal damage or by using Thaurissan or perhaps just Malygos with some combination of Dark Bomb, Soulfire, or other Soulfires you can get off Peddler, maybe even Hellfire if your Malygos survives a turn. So here what you want to be doing is you want to be digging through your cards, right? And Mortal Coil helps you do that while eliminating early game threats. Also on turn 10 or with Thaurissan earlier, a powerful play you can make is Malygos and then Coil to remove a creature and draw a card. Probably only do this if you think your Malygos will survive, because otherwise then you won't get the value on the Dark Bombs and Soulfires as well, but we'll go into that more in gameplay. So you do have the two Coils just because it's very versatile in the deck. We have one Soulfire. Playing two could be clunky, you'll discard them to each other. It's like playing two Doom Guards. Sometimes you end up with them being clunky in your hand. You also have Peddler, which is pretty likely to get you a Soulfire, one of them at least, especially with brand triggers if you can brand for Peddler. And you usually don't need that many Soulfires to finish your opponent off, so that's why we're only playing one. Room in this list is pretty tight. Playing one Abusive, it helps you clear early game. It's good with Brand because it doubles the attack trigger, so it gives it +4 instead, which is pretty strong. You do have a lot of incidental minions like Gang Boss, Chow. They're not really, you're not trying to be aggressive early game, but you do want to combat your opponent. If your opponent is a slow, controlling deck, you can pressure them a little bit with this, or if they're mid range. So Abusive's pretty good in the deck with that. And yeah, it's basically played to trade and sometimes push damage, things like that. We have two Chow. Chow's being played in a lot of decks right now. It's just a 2-3, which is really solid against Paladin, which is a lot of the meta right now. And it's solid against any early game minions that can trade really effectively. And you don't care too much about the health till later. Like, sometimes, obviously, you don't want to play them on, like, turn 10 if your opponent's low. But sometimes you'll even play them later if your opponent's at a high life total, because they help you control the board and they're efficiently costed. We have two Dark Bomb. It can be both used in early game removal spell if you really need it, but also because Malygos significantly reduces the cost of it, or Thaurissan reduces the cost of the Dark Bombs along with Malygos. Then you can cast, one or two of them comboed with a Soulfire can kill your opponent pretty fast, since each of the Dark Bombs will deal 8 and the Soulfire will deal 9. So they're here both as a combo piece, and as an early to mid game card, you can use to gain a board advantage, or you can even use it to burst down your opponent. I would say maybe 50 or 60% of games are won with Malygos, and the rest are won with board control or just burst damage normally. You have two Peddler. This is a card that really makes the deck. You can get Soulfires off it. You can get more Abusives. You can get lots of different cards that you need. It's great with Brand. It's a very versatile and powerful card. It's being played in Zoo and a lot of other decks right now too, just for its versatility and power. So Peddler is really powerful in the deck. We have one Owl, just because it's nice to have an Owl against, crazy things like Dreadsteed or Tyrion if we want to push damage, or just other Thorisans maybe if we can't clear them with damage, things like that. There's just a lot of reasons why Owl is useful, and since we're tapping a lot, having one of tech cards can be pretty useful, like Kezin, but we're not playing Kezin, but again, we'll go into that later. We have one BGH because, so some of us play two BGHs. This is where I differ. I prefer to play one BGH and one Siphon. The reason is, sometimes you'll play against the deck that doesn't have two BGH targets, especially now with Reynad Lock only runs one giant sometimes, like Dr. Boom. Not every deck runs Dr. Boom. There's Secret's Paladin, there's Aggro Druid, which really only Fel Reavers get hit by BGH. And since you're tapping, you're going to have BGH in your hand, a decent amount of the time. You don't really want two. I like Siphon because Siphon can clear, in mirrors, it's really powerful because it clears the opponent's Malygos and gives you some life. It's good against Tyrion and Thaurissan, and so I just like splitting them because they fulfill a little bit of the same function. Obviously, Siphon's more expensive, but I feel like having the Siphon has helped me win a lot of mirrors, so there's a style choice there. Moving on, we have Brand because Brand copies Peddler, it copies Abusive. There's some other battle cries that aren't relevant, like BGH, because you can't really copy that, or Owl. It copies Twilight Drake, which makes it bigger. Copies Azure Drake to draw, Blackwing to deal more damage, Healbot to heal more, Boom to make Boom bots if you're really going off. And Twilight Guardian does get become a 4/6 instead of a 3/6, which is relevant against Priest. So Brand is just pretty sweet when you're tapping. You can combo it off. You usually don't want to play it against on turn 3 unless you're playing against a really aggressive deck. Otherwise, it won't do too much. Playing the Gang Boss, some people play Earthen Ring Farseer in the slot, but I do like the Gang Boss just because I feel as though I just feel as though like the board gets pretty saturated early, and Gang Boss is a really efficient way to clear that. Like, Earthen Ring can just get Frostbolted or something, but even this gets Flame Cannoned, it leaves the one behind. Obviously, Frostbolt can't clear it. It's really good against Paladin. It's good against a variety of decks. And I feel with the double heal bots and the Siphon, we have the same amount of healing as those decks. We don't really need the Earthen Ring as badly. It's possible I'm wrong, but if your meta isn't super face heavy, I really like the Gang Boss because oftentimes it can prevent just as much damage as Earthen Ring by just being on the board. So that's in the Earthen Ring slot that some people play. I prefer to play Gang Boss. Next we have two Hellfire, and all these cards are going to be core. Hellfire just helps you clear, good with Malygos. Could be used to burst. These are the dragons that enable, Twilight Drake you're playing, one, because you're tapping a lot, and because it'll be big, two, because of Brand, and three, because the dragon enables Twilight Guardian, Blackwing Corruptor, Battle Cries. Twilight Guardians you're playing because they're a good early game taunt, and there are dragons that enable Blackwing Corruptor. Heal bots you're playing to heal a lot. Obviously, they're good with Bran. Azure Drakes draw cards and they give you spell damage, and you're playing a lot of spells that deal damage in this deck. That's kind of the goal of the deck. And they also enable all your dragon synergies. Blackwing Corruptor helps you can control the board, which you really want in this matchup. You win most of your games by controlling the board, not by just randomly bursting Malygos. Like, sometimes you win by bursting Malygos, but you already have control of the board. That's how you have enough time to do that. Siphon we already talked about. Playing Emperor because we want to reduce the cost of everything so we can go off faster. Boom. Most people are playing Kezin in this slot. I don't like Kezin because it's not good against Secrets Paladin, and there's not that much Freeze Mage on ladder. Like, it's maybe good against Tempo Mage, but not even that many people, you know, not that many people are even playing Tempo Mage right now. So I like Boom because most of the games I lost to this deck have been in grindy, like, control and mid-range mirrors, where your Malygos gets killed, or you didn't have enough damage to deal with Malygos, so you got grinded out. You can go to Fatigue, and you just don't have enough threats, and you lose. And I feel like Dr. Boom changes that. Maybe I'd play Jiraxis in the slot, but Jiraxis seems kind of clunky in this deck, and I like Dr. Boom just because it's a good threat. Helps you control the board more so that you can win with Malygos. And finally, we have Malygos, which, is the core of the deck. That's the deck check. I'm rank 2 on an A right now, which is, or not like actual legend rank 2, but Black Knight, which is pretty sweet because it's only the 5th day of the season. But I have noticed that a lot of people are playing the same deck. I tried to queue matches for, with this deck to show you guys off, but I just kept queuing into Paladin and Druid over and over. I want to play a variety of decks, so I'm going to go ahead and play some games against Karate Dom here so that he's my friend, he's also a legend player, so that we can, give you guys a variety of decks to play against. So, thanks for watching, and check out some of the games.